All right, guys, welcome back to the page. Welcome back to this build series on a Hanger 9 F4U-1D Corsair 60cc ARF. So, this plane is owned by the same owner as the L39 build thread that I did. And basically the plane, he's had it for, I think, like maybe 3, 4, 5 years. It's been a long time. And the fellow that was supposed to put it together for him never really got it progressing. I guess it was taking a while. So anyways, we've sorted things out, and I'm going to be building it for him, or assembling it for him. So there's a lot of work to do. There is some stuff that has been done, but very, very little of the work has actually been done and completed. So essentially, on this build, we are starting from page number 1 on the manual, and we're going to be going through the entire build process on the plane. There are some things that have been installed already, like the landing gear as an example. The main landing gear is installed, but the doors have not been done, and there's a lot of work to do on the doors. The rear landing gear, the rear strut or rear wheel has been installed, but it's missing the Robart actuator, the electronic actuator, which the original one went kaput. Anyways, all the doors need to be installed as well too. So there's basically, it's starting from square one. The engine that's on here is a, you can see it there, a Saito FG57T, which I think is kind of the minimum size for this plane. So it's definitely not going to be a super fast plane, but this is one of the recommended engines for this plane. So the engine has been, I guess, installed, but of course we're not just going to assume that everything's good. We're going to look over everything. As an example, I see a bolt right there that's touching the firewall. Probably not enough light to see it, but it's right behind the intake there. Stuff like that needs to be dealt with. Yeah, so it's got to be treated as a brand new build, which is fine. Looking forward to it. I've never put together a warbird this size before, and it's going to be a great project. So hopefully you guys will join me in this. And if you have any questions or comments, list them below in the video, and we'll go through this and release the videos kind of section by section, or time frame by time frame. So anyways, guys, let's get started. Alrighty, so manual, basically everything's already been purchased according to what was required for the equipment in the manual. So all that stuff is, or should be here. I haven't really gone through and double checked everything, but there's a lot of stuff here in this manual. Now there are a couple things, like I said, that have already been done. So things like putting the wing joiner in. That's already been glued in place, so I can't do anything with that. I can see a little bit of epoxy on the actual wing joiner beam right there. So, and when I try and pull this out with all my might, it doesn't go anywhere. So that's already been done. You know, a little bit of the wiring's been done. This all needs to be redone and secured properly, but some of that's done already. So the wing joiner pieces are done. Yeah, then basically we're moving on to the aileron servo installation, which is the aileron servo is installed, but the linkage hasn't been installed yet. So yeah, that's where we're at, guys. We're going to do some of this stuff as we go through. I'll try and categorize some of this stuff and try and keep it organized. I'll try and let you know what's already been done and what needs to be done. So that's where we're at right now, and probably going to spend a little bit of time in the first couple days here just going through and making sure we're all organized and doing this in the right steps. So, okay, guys, so we had multiple boxes of parts. Some things on the plane already done, some things on the center section already done, some things on the wing already done. So essentially what we need to do is we need to start from square one. So I spent most of last night and this morning just getting things organized. And what I mean by that is just going through all the boxes, going through all the parts, finding out what we needed. I was playing with the gear a little bit just to get familiar. And that's kind of a step one for me, I guess, wrapping my head around what needed to happen. Stopped at the hobby store this morning and picked up some spare parts that were missing. So basically we have some control rods that go in the center section. Here is where the servo mounts. The control rods go all the way to the back, and we needed to get control rods that would reach all the way back there because they were missing. Also a couple other things too is we didn't have any linkages, so got some of that stuff. And essentially what I'm doing is I'm just starting from square one on the build. So step number one is essentially looking the wing over, or sorry, getting the aileron surfaces set up. So the hinging's already been done on this plane by the previous builder, but nothing beyond that's been completed. So step number one is I was pulling the servo out, and a couple little things here. I'll try and show you guys close. So servo screws weren't fully tight, so this is why I suggest on something like this, on a project like this, just start from square one and get things, do it your own way, do it the right way. Other thing too is, so right now the servo's hooked up, so this is the left aileron. So right now you can see the servo arm there is not perpendicular to the servo, so we need to change that as well too. So we need to get that set up as straight as possible without any sub trim. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to take this out. So anyways guys, working on that right now, and gonna fix the servo up a little bit, and that's kind of step number one. Okay guys, so there's the servo fixed. I didn't even have to change the arm. All I had to do was move it one spline over. So now we are nice and square. And also the servo, when I go left aileron, it's pushing the aileron up, which would be the correct direction for travel on the aileron. Check this distance, supposed to be 1.25 inches from the base of the washer to the top of the black surface. So that was set up properly, and this surface is done. Now there's a couple things here. I'm not sure if this is done at the factory or if this is done by the builder, but it looks like these were put on with just a little bit of, maybe 30-minute epoxy or something like that. So I'm just going to add a little bit of adhesive in this area, just put some CA on the outside there because it's essentially dry right in this area. So I'm going to do that, and also add some CA back to the screw threads, which it looks like was already done based on the color difference there. And this wing surface will be complete, and I will do the exact same thing to the other surface. I think in the manual it says the control rod needs to go on, not right now, but in a little bit. So I'll probably do the control rod right now because I'm here. All right guys, so left wing is attached. Basically we've got a thumb screw there, a 1/4 by 20 thumb screw. I had those, I didn't have to buy them. They didn't come with the kit as far as I know, but anyways, I had some of those in my part supply. What else here? So the left aileron's all set up. Quite simple, basically just used a golden clevis, a Sullivan clevis, a little set screw there to tighten everything down. And when the servo centered, it's centered on the tip there as well. So I didn't use the flap because the flap might have a different angle than the aileron, but I used the tip, just a little tidbit there for you. So when the servo's on, you're centering it on the wingtip there, right? Flap, when the flap's all the way up, it may sit higher than the aileron. It may be perfectly even. So anyways, left wing is done. I need to sort out the connectors here as well too. So the way this plane's going to be set up is the center section is effectively going to stay on the airframe, and then just the wing tips are coming off. So this is by no means done. This is going to have to come on and off a few times. The gear's going to have to come out to do the doors. Lots of stuff's going on here. Anyways, this is done. Going to match the same thing on the other side on the right wing. All right, guys. So flaps are all done. This is one of those times too when I don't know if everybody does this, but I like to do all these surfaces separately, right? So what I mean by that is I will get everything set up and I will set the flaps up in the radio. You can see the receiver there before the plane progresses, right? Then at least we're really, really close. We just have to do some fine tuning at the end, and we're not having to I mean, maybe if these linkages need to be changed or something, it's nice not to have to do it later. So anyways, flaps are all done. Obviously the other wing's done. Mounted one of these wingtip lights as well too. These are just the E-flite ones. What I did is there was a fairly big hole in there. I'll show you on the other wing. So I put some hot glue in the bottom, then lined the recess there with foil tape, and then put some hot glue on the top and put this piece in place while the glue was hot. So the actual light itself is nice and solid, and this is what it looked like. Oh, and I lost the light, dang. That's what it looked like before, so there's quite a bit of space there. Hopefully you guys can see that. So anyways, that's the wing. So basically the wing's caught up as far as the surfaces go. Now I think in the manual it goes to the gear. So we're going to be working on the gear doors next and the whole gear system. That's a big step. All right, guys, welcome back to the build. It's been a few days since I recorded the last portion of this build. We have been waiting on the parts for this build. So the owner got all these parts from the previous builder, and it's exactly what we, what we've been missing. So we were missing some of the, well, we were missing all this stuff, but basically in order to continue, I needed some of these important pieces. So we got the parts kit, which is awesome. Now I've started working on the gear doors. 2 of these doors were done or in progress. These 2 here with the hinges already on them, and then these other 2 were brand new. So previous builder sanded this door down, so I'm going to have to get some color match done for this Corsair. If anybody out there knows what color match this is, please let me know. But either way, we would have to touch these edges up. It looks like it's been done by maybe the factory, but anyways, that needs to happen. So where are we at right now? So basically I'm kind of working on the gear doors and random things still. So basically the gear doors on this side, I'm just gonna mock everything up, get it all done on this side, and then copy the other side. So I like to do that when I'm building the planes like this, because you spend a lot of time figuring out one side, how it works, getting it all done. Once one side's done, you go to the other side and it's like super quick. Like it might take you, I don't know, 4 hours to do this, and it's going to take you 30 minutes to do this side. It's just way quicker. So I did do in the back of the manual, there's some cutouts for the servo mounts, so I did make these up. There's only one needed on one side, one needed on the other side, and I think I'm just going to use pieces of ply for the other servo. It needs two servos per wheel well area. So anyways, glued those up yesterday, used a little bit of the extra high sol just to reinforce these glue joints because I wasn't sure what they were done with, and that's kind of where I've gotten to. So the servos for the gear doors, as per the manual, we're using these high-tech thin digital wing servos, and these were already purchased, so that's what we're going with. And then they mount in there like that, and then the other one's going to mount very similar on the other side of the wheel well. So anyways, guys, that's where we're at. So I'm kind of scattered and doing things right now, but things are progressing nicely, and now that we've got these parts, can progress a lot quicker. So okay, guys, so I'm just working on the hinge for the when the retract or the leg retract or extends. This is the one that comes down in front of the leg. So just working on this. Now these pieces here definitely need to be trimmed if you're using the stock hinges. So I had to trim about that much off. And the reason for that is because if you have this too tight, I'll show you here. So it's gonna actually need to sit there. So you can't even have it tight to the hinges. And the reason for that is when this comes up like this, without any space there, the door will only open that much. Like you'll be restricted, right? Because it'll hit the hinges and it'll stop. So you need some more gap there, so when this comes open, there's enough space. So just keep that in mind. You could always, put a dot or two, a CA on there just to do some rough tests, but I know that I need some extra space, so I created it. So we've got a nice gap on the bottom section, and that's kind of our spacing there. I'm going to clean that up just a little bit more, but gives you an idea of how much space you'll need. So that's in the works. The manual says just to use medium CA, which is what I've used here. So I roughened up the hinges, roughened up the surface, and just put some medium CA in there. So I put a couple dots on there to get these lined up. And then I went back and glued it. Now I did have to sand down these edges a little bit. These are the stock hinges, and there wasn't quite enough space for these hinges to fit side to side. So I had to sand just a couple millimeters off this side, a couple millimeters off that side, and then the hinges fit perfectly side by side. So just tacked those up, got them in place, and then went back and filled in all the holes and stuff with CA, and then I used Kicker to cure it really quick. So that's what the back side looks like, and that's what we're going to use to fasten to the leg as well too. So the hinges have already been sanded, but we do need to sand the door down to expose the plastic. So okay guys, I'll just show you how I glue this here. So basically I got the door laid on this side, got the outline or the gap all set up properly, put some tape down, and if you look on this side you can see the gap is nice and consistent all the way through. And I know with that gap that I've got enough space on the back side of the hinge that I was talking about there. So now what I can do is I can go ahead, and I know this is going to work, but if you wanted to test it, you could just put one dot of CA there, you know, use some quick cure to make it stay, then you can test the door, and then if it's all good, then you fill it in with CA. I know this is going to work because I've done this before. So anyways, actually there you can see the gap is nice and consistent, or you can see the amount of gap there. So anyways, going to glue that down, and then we'll check how this door works. All right guys, one side of the gear doors is mounted. So this would be the interior side. Everything fit really well. I had to do a little bit more sanding out from the original spots here just to allow this reinforcement that I put on there to clear. So that works out good. And what I'll need to do afterwards is go back and add, I think, a little bit more high sol just on the pieces that are mounted inside. It's plenty strong right now, but I just like a little bit extra reinforcement in there. Just so it doesn't pop off. It's probably okay. We'll see. Maybe we'll keep it the way it is and see what happens. So I've got this other side to mount now, and gear door is all ready. Now these are using different hinges than the other side. So this is the type of hinge that the first builder put on this side. I don't know what those are called. They're like a Tams hinge or an Inter-Airco hinge. I've used them on most of my jets. This one's a little bit smaller and a little bit finer hinge on this side. Anyways, that's what was mounted on there, so we're going to use them. They seem to fit really well. And these cutouts were done. I softened up the angles a little bit, and then it looks like he ground these portions out, and they're down just to the bare fiberglass, and then that fits in there like that. So that's the next side we're going to do, and hopefully that goes well as well. But that's the next thing I'm going to glue. And what I've been doing with these is basically using the high sol, the 9562 or whatever it's called, the long cure stuff, and just gluing it up and then setting it overnight. And that's basically it. So once this side's done, then I will go ahead and complete the other side. I'm just getting this this first side all complete just because it was in process already, or in progress. And then we'll have the dimensions and everything to do on the other side, so we'll know exactly where we need to put everything. So that's the next step that I'm going to do, and that's probably it for tonight. And get that hinge, or get that surface mounted, and then we'll let it cure. All right guys, thanks for tuning into this Corsair build so far. In the next video we will continue with progress. So if this is your first time here guys, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below, and Also give this video a thumbs up. Additionally, if you're gonna hit that subscribe button, don't forget to hit the bell as well too. The bell helps you get notified when new videos are released on my channel. So thanks so much for tuning in, guys. We'll see you in the next episode.